Hello, and welcome to today's video. To start off, I'm just going to be blunt and bring attention to the big bump on my head. I don't know if it's acne or if I hit my head on something without noticing. Both are extremely possible, but it's quite the bump. It's a little bit painful, and it's there. And I don't know. I just wish it wasn't there. It would be really cool if it wasn't, but yeah, anyways, we're gonna get into doing my hair and chatting for today. I thought today it would be fun to chat about random animals because animals are really neat. And as a kid, I was so obsessed with animals. If you asked my first or second grade about self, what I wanted to be when I grew up, I probably would say a veterinarian. I later on realized that most of the things that veterinarians actually have to do for animals, I would never be willing to do, so hence I am not a veterinarian, and I no longer have any interest in being one, but I have a lot of respect for people in that field. People in any medical field, like, good for you. There's so much to understand about bodies and living things, and I think it's fascinating that some people just legitimately like get to commit their life and career to learning about helping bodies be stronger and come back from bad things that happen to them. And it's just really neat. Anyways, I could go on and on about that, but I already decided to talk about animals today. Because yeah, I really love animals. Especially as a kid, I was a little bit obsessive about how much I liked animals. Like, to the point that up until I think 3rd or 4th grade, I would refuse to read books unless they were about animals. Like, there was this one time that I read this book, probably in 2nd grade, and I think it was called 7 Kisses in a Row, but the cover had 7 kittens on it. So I was like, okay, this is some really cute little book that has something to do with 7 kittens. And I was thrilled. So obviously I start reading it and I'm like, okay, I'm excited to see where this is gonna go. The kittens, they were mentioned in a single chapter of the book. I'm guessing this book was somewhere between like 50 and 80 pages. Like, I'm not sure exactly. It's been a long time since I read it because I'm now 21. But the kittens, they were mentioned in a single chapter of the entire book. And I can't tell you how disappointed I was. Most of the book was about this little girl that like was just causing problems for herself. She just was upset about weird things and it was whatever. Like, I think it had a good message at the end where she kind of like came to terms with like the things that had been upsetting her and like was happy or whatever. But the story wasn't about the kittens. The kittens literally were just like, she ran away from home or something. And I haven't read this book in a really long time, so I could be totally wrong on some of this, but I think she ran away from home and like went to a neighbor's house, and the neighbor had these kittens, and it was whatever the neighbor told her while she was petting the kittens that like changed her mindset or like triggered a change in mindset. I think that's what it was about. But whatever it was, the book wasn't about the kittens. And I was so disappointed that for years after that, whenever, like, I remember that I really disliked the book because of that. But I remember that I was talking to, like, one of, like, the parents that, like, helped with, like, reading groups for the classroom. And she was, like, trying to pick out what book to use for the next reading group. And she happened to ask me about like a couple. She's like, yeah, like, what do you think of between, like, we're thinking about a couple of books. Like, one of them, this one's called 7 Kisses in a Row. And I was just like, oh, I hated that book. I read it a year or two ago and it just, yeah, no, I would not recommend it. Just because it wasn't actually about the kittens. 100%, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, it wasn't my favorite book in general at the time for other reasons, but especially because it wasn't about the kittens. So I was very much so like, no, that one's not the right one. Like, you should totally not pick that one for the reading group. Pick something different. There was a hair in my mouth. That was uncomfortable. But yeah, so I was very, very, like, excessive about it with animals or nothing, and I did all kinds of cool things like with animals as a kid. We had kittens when I was in like preschool to kindergarten, but we didn't have them very long, sadly, due to some unfortunate circumstances. But I loved having them so much, and like I would take the one around, and like we had this little like toy baby stroller that was like for one of my dolls or something that I had, but we would put the kitten Stripe in it and I would like walk him around the front yard and it was just adorable and I had so much fun with it. And then for a while we had aquatic pet frogs, which were pretty neat, I'm not gonna lie, and it was so fun to name them. Like the first two we named, I think, Floaty and Lazy, because one of them would always want to float around like at the top of the tank and swim around up there. And then Lazy, we had like this little like fish tank castle in their tank with them. And he would just sit there all day. And like occasionally like he'd go swim somewhere, like especially when we were feeding him. But other than that, he just kind of sit there, and he was a fat little frog. But he was so cute. I loved our little aquatic frogs. But over the years, every time we would get new ones, because they didn't have a very long lifespan, especially in captivity, which I honestly felt kind of bad for later on. But at the time, I didn't realize that that was, you know, a thing. But whenever we were making new ones, we would always have one named Floaty. So there's like, I think Floaty the second, Floaty the third, and then like Prince Floaty. And then the other ones had like other names. Most of them were like descriptive words because, you know, Floaty and Lazy for starters. But we had Glary. What a genius name. Because, so in the corner of the tank, we noticed that it was like reflective. So we assumed that when they looked in the corner of their little tank, they could see themselves. Glary would sit in the corner of the tank for hours at a time. And I guess just stare at himself. So he was Glary. But yeah, so we had a lot of fun with our little aquatic frogs and stuff, and I just thought they were the cutest thing. I wished that I could hold them, though. I was like, I just want to hold them. And he was like, no, you can't hold the aquatic frogs. They have to live in water, or else they get dehydrated and all this stuff, and it was pretty sad. But yeah, so some fun pets over the years, and in 4th grade, the best year ever for young me, we got a dog. She was my dog. Her name was Roxy, and she was just a sweet little teddy bear of a puppy, and I just absolutely adored her. Like, to get her, actually, because my parents were, like, pretty uncertain about it. My mom had dogs as a kid and absolutely loved them, but she had never had one as an adult, or, like, since, you know, having kids, and so I had spent years trying to convince them to kind of, like, let me have a dog, or, like, at least a couple of years, and so finally what I did is I made a PowerPoint, like, an entire, like, multi-slide PowerPoint presentation as... I believe it was when I was in 4th grade that I made the PowerPoint, because that's the year that we got Roxy. But so I made this whole PowerPoint and sat my parents, maybe my siblings down too, for this presentation about like basically the benefits of having a dog, how I was willing to like help and contribute and like make it worthwhile and all that stuff. And it worked, because lo and behold, a week before my birthday, our parents surprised us with Roxy. She was a little toy poodle, and she was just precious. I loved her so much. She was my best little buddy. But yeah, so over the years, I had so much fun with pets, and I just loved them to pieces. Every pet that we had, because we didn't have like a super ton, but we had enough, and like I loved it. So I was always really enthusiastic about animals as a kid, and it was such an important part of my childhood. Anytime I had a chance to pet an animal, it was like yes, except for horses, because my grandparents have horses, and I remember one time we were visiting them. And they were like, yeah, like, does anybody want to ride the horses? And I was like, yes. Well, turns out I'm allergic to horses. How fun is that? So I had this super crazy, like, fortunately, it wasn't like my throat closes up and I can't breathe kind of allergic. It was more like I have hives over my entire body, and like my skin is itching to the point that I want to scream. Which I guess is also not great, but at least I could breathe. That was the one solace that I had when I found out I was allergic to horses, was that I could still, for the most part, breathe. Like, I was, like, runny nose and stuff, but it was, like, it was mostly just my skin freaking out, which kind of made sense that was what was more reactive, because I've always had issues with my skin, lots of eczema and stuff like that, but... yeah, so I was really sad when I found out I was allergic to horses, because I had these grand dreams of being like this equestrian rider, like spending a summer with my grandparents and learning how to ride horses really well. Never happened, probably never will, because yeah, the extreme skin reaction, not super fun. But it's kind of sad, because over the years, like, I feel like I've started, like, developing, like, more skin allergies to animals. Like, a lot of the time, like, if I pet cats, my skin will, like, be really itchy later, and it's not fun, and I'm just like, bro, I just want to pet the cats. Like, what is this? Especially because, so my in-laws that we live with, they have like a couple of barn cats, but there are also lots of just like kind of random cats in the area. So like some days when I'm leaving for work, I'll just open the front door and there'll be like a cat on the porch, and it's so fun, and I'm just like, it's a little friend. But I have to be so careful. Like whenever I pet a cat, I can only touch them with my hands, and I have to make sure I don't touch anything else with my hands until I wash them, because otherwise I'll start bringing on hives like 20 minutes later. It's really disappointing because I love petting cats. pets. And same thing with some dogs. Like it's not all dogs, which is really weird, but some dogs I'll have a little bit of allergic reaction to. So I have to be careful. And typically, like, I always stray towards hypoallergenic breeds of dogs. Like, if your dog's hypoallergenic, like, there's no way you're gonna stop me from petting it. But but if it's not, like, chances are I'll convince myself to not pet it because I don't want my skin to freak out. But yeah, so that's been kind of disappointing over the years, and it's like now it's like if I ever have more pets, I'm gonna have to be very aware of that, and it's kind of sad because it makes it hard to, like, I would love to be able to adopt like a shelter dog someday, but unless there's a hypoallergenic one, like, it's just not a realistic situation. Because, like, if I have a pet dog, like, I want them to be an indoor dog. I want them to be, in a way, a part of the family, because that's how it is with Izzy and Bean, my mom's dogs. And, like, I love Izzy and Bean so much, and thank goodness they're both hypoallergenic, and I can just love them and hug them and pet them whenever I want without my skin freaking out. It's pretty cool, not gonna lie. But yeah, it's like, essentially, I'm gonna have to have hypoallergenic pets if I ever, have pets in the future, which I definitely plan on because, like I said, I've always loved animals. I really like interesting and unique animals too. Like, I would so love to pet a raccoon. Like, I can't even tell you. I want to pet a raccoon so badly. But of course, like, you can't really just go up to any raccoon without having to worry about, like, rabies and stuff. So I have not pet a raccoon yet, but that is on my to-do list for my life. Like, if I can find like a domesticated raccoon somewhere, I will be petting it. Like, no questions asked. Well, the only question I'll be asking is whoever like owns / cares for the raccoon. I'll be like, can I pet it? And if they say no, I'll be like, how can I change your mind? Unless of course it was like for the health of the raccoon, then I could respect that. I gotta respect health and safety. But yeah, so I love raccoons and like possums, man. I saw this video the other day of like a lady that found a possum like hanging out on her fence, and she goes up and like pets it while it's hissing at her, and she just keeps petting it, and the little thing is like freaking out because obviously it's like, leave me alone, but it's like it's not doing anything to actually make her go away. It's just hissing at her while she like occasionally reaches over and pets it, which I think is just a dream come true. Like, please, I want to pet a possum. So all the fun little animals, like, please let me pet them. I do acknowledge that there is a chance I will find more animals I'm allergic to that way, and that is an unfortunate reality. But at least if I can like pet those animals once in my life, that would be so cool. Or like a deer, like just a random deer, that would be really cool. Just like walk up to it and be like, yo homie, like pet. Maybe gives it like an apple or something. I don't know. Do deers like apples? I feel like they would. I watched a video earlier of one eating a banana peel. So I guess maybe I'll give it a banana peel. I don't have bananas though because I don't like bananas. But I don't know. Maybe I'll get bananas if I'm ever in an area that deer are regularly, so I can try to feed one to a deer. But yeah, I think that is it for today's video. I didn't get nearly as far into my love of animals as I intended to because I got so caught up on my backstory. But maybe we'll have to make another video that goes into more of like the animals that interest me now and like what all the things I find so cool about animals, because animals are just fascinating, just like people. They're fascinating. There's so much to learn and understand about them, and it's so cool. And they're usually just like fluffy little fun friends, or even like the scaly ones, like those like little like alligator dudes, whatever they're called. I always forget whatever the small ones are. Just like sit on my shoulder and chill. Or like a Komodo dragon. Yes, I've actually got a dragon shirt on today, so yeah, kind of fun. But yeah, animals are really cool. Tell me down below in the comments what your guys' favorite animals are, or what animal like is your dream animal to get to pet, like a giraffe, a tiger, a hawk, anything. Let me know down in the comments below. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe as well, and I will see you guys next time.